I good enough to go back? Don't listen to them. You can do whatever at any age. Only you that can get yourself out
Yeah.
of any situation. I paused because of motherhood. It's life. This is what happened. You're not
Mm.
behind. You are moving. Any little step that you take is a move towards the person that you're meant to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Space podcast. This podcast is for anybody navigating career changes or redefining success. My name is Ade Oluwayemi. I'm a career transition coach. And today's episode is for anyone who has taken a break from work, be it for family reason or personal reason, or maybe they are experiencing burnout and they are thinking about returning back to work. I am joined today by a special guest, Omonefe, who has walked this very path. Her story is one of grace, growth, and a lot more. And I can't wait to hear what she has to tell us on this podcast. Welcome, Omonefe, and thank you for being here. Can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you so much for having me, Ade. Actually, I'm dialing in from Ireland, from Dublin. So, just a quick background on myself. I'm Omonefe. I'm originally from Nigeria, and I've lived in Ireland now for, I think, the first time was about 6 years, and then I moved around quite a lot with family. So I moved to various countries like Denmark, Switzerland, Malta, and then back to Ireland. So I'm now back in Ireland. So, like you said, it's been a journey. You know what I mean? It's been a
Yeah.
journey to get to where I am at the moment. I'm still on that journey, but hopefully I plan to get there. At this point, I'm currently in sales and projects executive in hospitality. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay.
I hope to transition into HR. So that's a journey that I'm also on. But yeah, let's see what happens.
All right, nice. Thank you for introducing yourself and for sharing your journey with me. Can you please share a bit more about your career journey and what led you into taking a break from work?
I left Nigeria in just a background myself. I left Nigeria, I think in 2007. If It's about 2007, I came to Ireland, and then I went to school, and then I met my husband in Ireland, and then I had two kids, and I had to pause on my career, because of kids. And it was, it didn't make sense at the time to work, take care of the kids, and like I said earlier, we're always moving around. So
Mm,
it wasn't easy to move around with kids to different countries, because we're always changing the schools,
yeah.
and we're moving because of my husband's job. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
had to take a back seat,
Mm,
and we're always going to different countries, and the school looking for a house,
mm,
so it just didn't just it wasn't fitting into our life at that point.
mm,
Although
yeah.
I did have businesses, I did have businesses here and there, but it was not like in an office role. So I didn't consider myself as working. So I was
Yeah.
basically a full-time mom, and I was present in my kids' life continuously. So the break wasn't. I would say, when I say it's a break, I would say it's just what I had to do. It was
Yeah.
just life. It was just what I had to do. I just had to pause just to be a full-time mom.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Most people, especially women, they like we do take that step back in order to be there for our kids because again, if your spouse is traveling and changing job, is sometimes like it leads to emotional roller coaster for the kids also meeting new friends, trying to acclimatize to a new place, and maybe before you know it, they are already out again at the point in which they are getting used to the place. So it's really a
Exactly.
sacrifice on your part for doing that for your kids to be able to help them and guide them in that process of you moving.
Exactly. And you
Yeah.
just hit the nail on the you just said it all, because it's not easy to move around with the
Yeah.
kids. They always had to resettle. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I had to be there always to
mm,
to kind of guide them and say, "Oh, it's okay, it's fine.
yeah.
We're moving. It's just in transition, So I had to be there, and they had to make new friends. They had to
Mm,
be in a new country, with new doctors, with new, everything was
everything
always
new. Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Everything was always new. So I had to step back and be
Okay.
there for my kids, basically.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, um, how did you spend your time during this break? You have talked about most of it, like taking care of your kids, making sure that you are there for them when they are navigating those emotions. But what are the unexpected lessons that you learned along that way of you taking care of your kids? You said you were doing some side business. What are the lessons and personal growth that you had in those moments?
I think for me, the lessons is adaptability. You have to be able to adapt fast. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that taught me how to adapt very fast. Also attention to detail, because you can't make a
Mm,
mistake when you are moving. You know what I mean? You can't
yeah.
make a mistake. Um, and another lesson that I learned, that I think is one of the greatest lesson, is diversity and inclusion. And I will
Mm,
explain that,
yeah.
because you are going to a new country. You
Mm,
always needed to adapt to diversity, to inclusion, to how the
yeah.
country works, to their
Mm,
values, to everything, to their culture.
yeah.
So that was part of the big lesson. And there were also great things as well. Like, I made very good friends, from different nationalities, like from Korea, from
Mm,
China, from Japan, from Zimbabwe, to Egypt. So, you get like a very good lesson in diversity. So
mm,
everybody was different. Everybody
mm,
was not in a bad way, not different in a bad
yeah.
way, but you learned a lot, and you pick up a lot of skills, a lot of communication skills as well,
Mm,
interpersonal skills.
exactly.
Just it was amazing. It
Mm,
was a really, really, really good time for me, and I wish I could go back to that time, but of
mm,
course, you develop and you move past that.
yeah.
And in terms of a mom, uh, conflict resolution was one of
Yeah.
them. With two kids, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yes, so that's in terms of a mom. So conflict resolution was one of it. You have two kids. I have a boy and a girl. So
Okay.
always there was always a conflict. So
Yeah.
you pick up skills, even as a mom. There's a
Yeah.
lot of skills. Emotional intelligence is one of them.
Mm.
So that would be some of the skills that I picked up.
That is great. When we are talking about able to like pick out at least five, you were talking about emotional intelligence, adaptability, diversity and inclusion, conflict resolution. And the funnest is that those are the skills that is needed in the workplace.
Yes.
Sometimes, like during those break, you might feel you weren't doing anything, you weren't doing something, but those skills that you are building at that point are skills that are required in an organization. For example, especially if you migrate to another country, you are meeting new people, you are meeting new culture, you are learning how to relate with those kind of people. So those are good skills that you've picked up along the way when you took those people.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And it's I've actually written something about this. It's something that organizations do not realize, that as a mom, you pick up, you don't have to sit down in a corporate office.
Yeah,
You just have to fine tune those skills. I don't know if that makes sense. You have to fine
yeah,
tune those
makes
skills. You
sense.
have to do proper onboarding, proper training. But a mom going back to work is not a liability. You
Yeah,
should make that space for her to develop, because she already has that skills.
mm,
So
yeah,
that's basically what you were just saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. At any point during your break, were you like in a ace or were you in eager to go back to work at any point, or you were just like taking your time?
Um, I wouldn't say I was eager to go back to work. I, um, there was a lot of things that maybe stopped me from jumping back to work. You know what I
Mm.
mean? First of all, a lot of guilt. I did not want to miss anything
In
in
the life
my
of
children's
kids.
life.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I didn't want to miss anything like the swimming lessons, the first day back
Mm.
to school. You know, I didn't want to miss maybe a parent teacher conference. You know, I wanted to be part of their life. So that was one of the, that's one part of it. And then there was the imposter syndrome as well. Like,
Yeah.
am I good enough to go back to
Mm.
work? You know what I mean? After all these years, am I will people doubt me? You know, is my voice, does my voice still matter? You know, can
Mm.
I sit at the table again? So
Yeah.
these were the thoughts that will go through my mind. You know, like imposter syndrome is really, really bad. You know what I mean? It's
And
really
it's
they
real.
really
Yeah.
is really a killer. So I think those the guilt and also the imposter syndrome, but mainly the imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? That was the
Mm.
question I kept asking myself. Am I good enough? Like, will I understand anything that they were saying if I went back to work?
Yeah.
What am I betraying my kids? You know, these were always what was going through my head. You
Mm.
know, but eventually I did go back. There was a journey to get back there.
Yeah.
But I'll let you ask your next question. So then we can talk about that journey. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So my next question will be how were you able to fight that imposter syndrome, or you managed it? Did you eliminate it? Is still there? How were you able to navigate that?
I wouldn't say imposter syndrome is ever cancelled because we
Disappearing.
always have imposter syndrome. Even if I think even if we're like the top of our game, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? We
because you
still
are
feel
growing, you are going from one level to the other. Yeah.
exactly. You still feel that. Oh God, am I? How am I here?
Yeah.
Is this real? You still feel that.
Yeah.
But I think for me, what I did, okay, it took me a while. Took me like it's only you that can get yourself out
Mm.
of any situation. I don't know if that makes sense. Only
Yeah.
you can remove yourself. Only you can give yourself a kick in the butt and say, I'm going back
Yeah.
to do something that I love. Okay. So even if I spoke to a lot of people, even if I like my family, they were like, oh no, I think you are great. But still inside
Yeah.
me, I still
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
no, I'm not good
Mm.
enough. So only you can you have to be the one. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to be the one to do it for yourself.
True.
And
Exactly.
basically, what I did was that I went back. So I started small. I took courses on Coursera. So I did
Mm.
project management course, you know, because I'm trying to find myself, trying to find,
Yeah.
okay, what do I like? You know, what sparks joy? What makes me happy? So I did
Yeah.
project management in Coursera. There's a Google project management
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
I did that, and then I passed that, and that kind of okay. I still have game. I
You
still
got it.
know exactly
Yeah.
exactly. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so I did that, and then I moved on to I did a course in University of Copenhagen, but it was still in Coursera. You know, so it's like a
Okay.
course that was by
Offer.
University of Copenhagen, and it was uh, sustainability, tourism sustainability, like talking about sustainability, and I passed that
Okay.
as well. So I was like, okay, yes. And then
Mm.
I went back, and then I said, okay, I'm going back fully to school. So I got back into school. I felt like I needed that. Again, this is my journey. You don't have to go back to school necessarily. Um, you don't have to go
Yeah.
back to school, but this was what I felt confident in doing. You know, I felt like, okay, if I went through this journey, then I'll feel more confident, you know. So I went
Yeah.
back to school. I did a master's in international tourism and hospitality management. I felt okay. I really love events. I like hospitality.
Yeah.
Like I'm a people person. You know, so I
Mm.
wanted to get back. I wanted to get into that. So I did that, and I can say I did very well during that course.
Mm.
Although it was tough because going back to school, I've not been in that space in a while. In a
Great.
while, yes, but with great friends, great classmates. I had
Mm.
really strong women. I don't know if they will ever watch this, but Nin, she's from Myanmar. I had Federica, she's from Italy. I had Caroline, she's from Kenya. And these were like my team. These were like my
Mm.
women, and with
Mm.
them, we I passed my course. We worked
Yeah.
together on our capstone projects as well, and
Okay.
I did very well in that course. So I came back. I got into a graduate program in
Mm.
Ireland. So I got into
Okay.
a graduate program in Ireland, and I did that for about 6 months, and then I got a job as a sales and project executive in an hotel. So I'm still finding my path, and also with a career coach, and there's a very good one. I'll give her kudos here.
Mm.
If ever anybody wants to hire a career coach, I will recommend her 100%. Her name is
Mm.
Mojisola, and she was so good. She was like, you don't have to start, because somebody told me that at my age I couldn't go back to school. I couldn't do what I was doing. Somebody
Yeah.
actually told me that,
Mm.
listening to those negativity and everything.
Yeah.
Somebody actually told me that. So she told me, don't listen to them. You can be you can do whatever at any age. She told me,
Yes.
she showed me a journey. Like, this is how I started. I started at this age, and this is how I grew myself. Of course, your
Mm.
journey is different, but you can start at any time.
Mm.
And like going back to the imposter syndrome, it wasn't easy. All this was not easy. I really had to come out of my shell.
Mm.
Because there's a lot of things, even sometimes, my LinkedIn, for example, is quite new. That
Yeah.
took me a while actually to
Before
get
you
on
get
LinkedIn.
to
You know what I mean? So everything is like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So it's not
yeah.
easy, not easy. But you have to be the one with strong people beside you. You have to be the
Exactly.
one to bring out yourself from any situation that you are. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Any
Yeah.
situation. You can
Mm.
have, yes, of course, you get this support, but you have to be willing to put in that work. You have to be
Exactly.
willing to put in that effort. Like, okay, this is where I plan to be. Visibility as well is very important.
Yeah.
So all these things are what's basically. I've forgotten the question, but I think I answered.
Yeah,
Yes.
you answered it very well. You talked a lot about your support system that you had along the way. But
Mhm.
when it was actually time for you to look for that job, what was the process like? What were the strategies that you used in getting the job?
Okay, so I would say it was difficult,
Mm.
very, very difficult. There was a lot of rejection from different people. Um, I I did my CV. I'll just break it down. As I did my
Yeah.
CV, and I put in my CV, I put in a lot of things that I've done, like for example, when I moved around a lot, I also had a bit of like business. I did business,
Yeah.
but it was under my own company and at my own
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So I put that in on my CV. Um, I put in some projects that I did in school because I was a member of the PTA. I was a member of the PTA. I put
Your
in
kids.
my skills. I put in everything that I thought would get me to the next level.
Yeah.
Including my masters. By the way, I put that
Yeah.
in, but it wasn't easy. Like, it
Yeah.
was very difficult. It was rejection letter. Uh, you know, I felt like I was explaining, my motherhood. Like, motherhood was a mistake. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
It was a lot of tears. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It was a lot of tears, a lot of people not believing that I could do the job.
The
And
job.
even if I spoke very well, even if I was able to do the interviews, they still felt like, oh, you don't have the
The gap
experience.
is there. Yeah.
The gap is there. You don't have. so I heard things like you don't have the Irish experience, so that was one of it.
mm,
You don't have the hospitality experience, so it was very, very tough. It was very, very tough. But I will say that the right company will hire you. That's all I have to
yeah,
say.
yeah,
The right company will hire you. And I stopped shrinking. I stopped shrinking. I In my CV, I started to write exactly how it is. Okay, this is who I am. This is what I've done. This is this is my journey. This is my CV. I paused because of motherhood. It's life. This is what happened. I started to
yeah,
put that in my cover letter. And then the right company hired me. The
mm,
right company hired me. It was not easy. It was a tough process. It was a very,
mm,
very tough process. And again, in this journey, you will also get hired by the wrong company as well. I need to make that,
mm.
because you're so eager that you
To
want to
get a
jump
job.
back.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. So you're so eager that you'll be like, oh, I just want to get in. I just want to get a job. I just want to.
yeah,
But I know you'll be tempted to do that, but don't be like. I think you should wait. It's easier said than done. But I
yes,
really think if you can, you should wait and find that company that will see your potential, that will respect you for who you are and what you bring to the table.
yeah.
So yeah, so that was basically it. Again, I've strayed again because all these parts,
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm always.
I really understand this, the last part that you were talking, because as a career coach, I also meet a lot of people telling me about their journey. And one thing I usually tell them that the interviewing process is not just the organization or the company interviewing you. It should also be a time in which you also interview them. You ask questions to be able to see that your values and the organization values align. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we rush into a role, and at the end of the day, when you get there, you feel you become stuck there. Fine, you are getting the money, you are getting the salary, but you are not fulfilled. You get home and you'll be like, what have I done today? Or maybe it's Sunday night, you're already thinking, oh, Monday is coming, you're already exhausted even before the beginning of the week. So during
Hmm.
that interviewing process, it's also opportunity for you to also ask those questions to be able to see if your values align with the organization values. So I hear you on that aspect. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Like the culture fit is very important. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You have to make sure that the culture fits you.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like you said, it's a joint interview. You are looking at the culture. You're saying, oh, is this somewhere I can grow? Is this somewhere that they will value me? Is this somewhere they
Yeah.
will
Exactly.
respect me? Is this somewhere that again, race comes into it as well, as somebody of as a black woman, okay,
Yeah.
as a Nigerian, that comes into it as well. Is this somewhere that I will feel like I am being respected for who I am? Not
Yeah.
just somewhere that they're just ticking a box, like a diversity box. Okay, let's just get this person. All those
Yeah.
things, all those questions. And I made that mistake in my journey back. But
Oh.
that's why I'm saying it in this podcast. It's very, very important that you don't. I like, again, it's easier said than done, but
Mm.
very important that you don't just rush in. You look at
Yeah.
those things that you just said as a coach. You look at it and say, okay,
Yeah.
is this right for me? Is this the right fit? Is this somewhere I see myself in 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 1 year? Is this somewhere I can
Yeah.
actually wake up in the morning and feel so happy to go to work?
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah,
Because those are the things that will give you that courage to come to work every day. If not, if
exactly.
because sometimes I also meet people that they experience burnout. Sometimes the burnout is not because of the workload, it's not because they are doing way too much. The burnout is because they don't like what they are doing, they are not passionate about what they are doing. So
Yes.
that's also, so if you just jump in, you have already been experiencing a lot of trauma, a lot of emotion, a lot of stress trying to get a job. Then you now get into a job that you are also not enjoying. It will just be the same thing, like maybe coming
Mm-hmm.
from pan to fire. But again, it's easier said than done, because everybody have their own journey. Maybe they just had to take it because they needed more money as at that time, and it might just be a stepping stone to get another one too. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody's journey is different. So yeah, so just my advice is always look at their values. If it's aligned, fine. If it doesn't align and you need that money ASAP, then you can make it like a stepping stone for you to get to what you want. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So for somebody that is also in this in a break, trying to go back into the workforce, what advice are you going to give those kind of people?
I would say start small. Okay, start small. Start now. Don't wait. Like it's like what I said. I've said it earlier.
Yeah.
That you know, you are the only one that can do it for yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So, but you can take tiny steps. You will get there. You don't
Yeah.
need to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect. Like it doesn't need to be perfect, but you will
Yeah.
get there. It can be just a little course. It can be if you can if you can you can get a career coach. You can get a coach that will be there to support you.
Mm.
But even with the coach supporting you, the coach is not going to bring
Yeah.
to say, okay, now get out of bed.
You have to just put in your own effort too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The coach is not going to be there in the morning to wake you up and say, come on, you have to do this. No, you have
Yeah.
to be the one to take that step,
Mm.
that little step, like step, step,
Yeah.
and then you get there because your story isn't broken. It's just you're just building. You're just building.
Exactly. Mm.
Like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Yeah. Right.
So you just need to give yourself that kick and say,
Yeah.
okay, I have to do this. I have to start small. I have to start now.
Yeah.
And tiny steps, that's all you need. Just take a
Mm.
course, update your CV. If you can't update your CV, there's AI now.
Mm.
AI
Help you
can
to
help
do.
with that.
Yeah.
So put it on AI. There's a lot of tips. I see a lot of tips on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can, if you don't have a LinkedIn, maybe get into LinkedIn. Find a lot of tips on LinkedIn on how to do your CV. Yeah, like
Yeah.
guidelines on how to do your CV, like the
Mm.
ATS thing that is now trending.
Exactly.
There's so many things, there's so many tips, but just start small. You just need to start because nobody is coming to get you out of that situation. Nobody's is coming to help you. You just
Yeah.
need to do it yourself.
Jesus.
Of course, you have your village. You have your village that are there
Support
to
system.
support you,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
you are the one that can do it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That is great. That is great. Thank you so much for that advice for people. Yeah. How can people connect with you? If people want to connect with you, how can they connect with you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. So I try to post 3 times a week or 2 times a week, just talking about things that affect workplaces, women, basically anything that has to do with life. So LinkedIn, my name is Omonefe Lynch on LinkedIn. I'm always open to connect. Message me if you want. You know, anything. I'm there to support. Sharing my journey.
Mm.
LinkedIn will be the best place to connect with me.
All right. Thank you for it very much. Any final words of encouragement for people who feel that they are behind just because they have taken a career gap?
I would say you are not behind. You're not
Mm.
behind. You are moving. Any little step that you take is a move towards the person that you are meant to be.
Mm.
Any little thing, any little change in your life is you are moving to your goal. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
you didn't cost your power. You just were a mom, which is a great thing as well. It's a great
Mm.
thing. You were taking care of your children. You were building something for your children, so that's a great thing. So you are not behind, you are becoming,
Mm.
and you will catch up, and you will rise, and you will get to the place that you're meant to be. But you just need to move. You just need
Yeah.
to move to get to that place.
All right. Thank you so very much. You've shared a lot. And also to the listeners, it's not just maybe taking a break for you to be a mom or whatnot. It can even be break for yourself or taking care of a loved one that is sick or whatever the career break is, like Omonefe has said, you are not behind. So far you are taking that step, you are growing. Wherever the journey you are in, just make sure that there's a lesson for you in that journey. It might be you are learning how to adapt, how to manage conflict, how to take care of somebody, whatever it is in that situation you find yourself, there's a learning for you there. There's a lesson, and always take note of those lessons, because those are what will be used when you even get or when you return to work. So thank you so much for watching today's episode. I will see you in the next episode. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to put Omonefe LinkedIn profile in this description so that you can click it and connect with her. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.